The midday sun glared over Wu's market, pouring molten light onto tin roofs and restless crowds. The smell of fried plantain mixed with dust and exhaust. Traders yelled prices while motorcyclists honked and weaved through chaos. In the middle of it all, a black G-Wagon crawled forward like royalty among the ordinary. Behind its tinted glass sat Farouk Danladi, 25, the only son of billionaire Alhaji Musa Danladi, a young man born into silk, arrogance, and zero empathy. A diamond chain glittered against his designer T-shirt as he scrolled through Snapchat. His friend Idris, lounging beside him, balanced an iPhone on his lap. "Bro, Abuja people too funny," Farouk smirked. "Let's hunt content for my story." Views day low this week. They slowed at a corner where women sold tomatoes under umbrellas patched with tape. There, beside a trash barrel, a young mother crouched, skin dulled by hunger, scarf loose, cradling a baby wrapped in faded ankara. She rummaged through a nylon bag of leftovers, blowing date off a piece of bread before pressing it gently to her child's mouth. Farouk's brows arched. "Ah!" She day-feed baby from dustbin. He chuckled, already lifting his phone. Perfect content. Caption go be, "Some people need job, not miracle service." Idris shifted uncomfortably. "Guy, delete that one. No pure." "Relax." Farouk laughed. NA reality TV of Abuja Street. He zoomed in, catching the woman's trembling hands. The camera framed her suffering like entertainment. A trader nearby, a thick-bodied man with sweat running down his temple, slammed his crate of apples. "Oga, you get mama? If you get, fear God." Farouk sneered. "Mind your business, a bokeh." The G-Wagon rolled forward, engine humming arrogance. The woman never looked up. She tore another piece of bread, whispered something to the baby, something soft, like prayer, and kissed his forehead. Farouk hit post. Within minutes, comments flooded. "LMAO Abuja is wild. This one paying me. Heartless rich kid." But he didn't care. The laughter in the car drowned everything else. When they sped away, dust rose around a woman like smoke after tragedy. A bystander muttered under his breath, "God go humble 'em. One day." That evening, the Danladi mansion in Asakoro gleamed under golden chandeliers. Marble floors mirrored everything: wealth, pride, and emptiness. Alhaji Musa sat at the head of a long mahogany dining table, scrolling through his tablet while news anchors spoke on TV. Then his heart froze. There it was. The headline: "Billionaire's son mocks homeless mother in Wu's market." He tapped the clip. The video played. Farouk's laughter, his own son's, echoed through the house like a curse. Hoa, his wife, gasped, "That's our son." Alhaji Musa's lips tightened. "Yes, and the world has seen it." Farouk strolled in, still humming to music blasting from his AirPods. He poured juice into a glass, pretending not to notice the tension. "Farouk," his father said quietly, "sit down." Farouk obeyed with a smirk. "If this is about that clip." Musa cut him off, voice like steel. "You laughed at hunger. It's not that deep, Baba. People exaggerate everything online. It is deep when a Danladi mocks pain." The old man slammed the tablet on the table. The screen froze on the image of the woman feeding her baby. "Do you know her story?" "No. You just recorded misery for likes." Farouk shrugged. "Some people are just lazy. Abuja is full of beggars who refuse to work." Musa's gaze darkened. "You speak like someone who has never missed a meal." "I haven't," Farouk said flatly. "And that's not my fault." Horwell whispered, "Farouk, apologize." "For what?" "I didn't touch her." He rose, annoyed. "You people like drama. I'm tired." As he walked away, Musa's voice echoed, slow and heavy. "Arrogance blinds faster than poverty." Later that night, Musa stood by his window, looking out over Abuja's glittering skyline. He remembered the days he sold pure water in Nyanya before wealth came. He whispered a prayer. "Yah Allah, don't let my son drown in riches." Downstairs, Farouk refreshed his socials. The clip now had over 100,000 views and a flood of angry comments. But he only smiled and muttered, "Publicity and a publicity." He didn't know that same night, the woman in the video sat under a bridge, feeding her child with the same trembling hands and whispering his name in prayer, though she didn't know it yet. Under the Area 1 bridge, the world felt colder. Wind whipped through open drains carrying the smell of petrol and decay. Amina Yusuf sat against a pillar, baby Kabir sleeping on her lap. Her shawl was thin, but her resolve thicker than hunger. "Tomorrow go better," she murmured, kissing Kabir's tiny fingers. Around her, other homeless women whispered, some selling sachet water at night. But Amina was different. Beneath her faded scarf lay the mind of a scholar, once brilliant, once hopeful. Flashback. 2 years earlier, at University of Abuja, she stood on stage receiving a certificate of excellence. Applause thundered. She was supposed to intern at Danlady Group through a scholarship her late father's company helped sponsor. Then came betrayal. A jealous roommate framed her for stealing a lecturer's laptop. The case went viral on campus. Her fiancé, Malik, heir to a small oil firm, believed the rumors. "Amina, you embarrass me," he spat. Days later, he vanished with her savings. Her mother died of shock. Her father's business crumbled. Within months, Amina was homeless, pregnant, disgraced, and alone. Now, every night, she clutched a small locket. Inside, a picture of her and her father smiling in front of an unfinished road project bearing a bold sign, Danlady Group Partnership. She still remembered Alhaji Musa shaking her father's hand years ago, promising, "Your daughter's future will never suffer." The promise had been swallowed by time. Rain began to fall. Amina wrapped Kabir tighter, whispering a prayer. "If my father's spirit still sees me, guide me to the light again." A passing Keek driver slowed, tossing her a loaf of bread. She smiled faintly, broke it in half, and fed Kabir. Up on social media, her same face trended. Captioned, "The woman from the trash." Amina didn't even know she was famous. She just knew her baby had eaten. Inside the glittering glass headquarters of Danlady Group, Ifema Okafor, Alhaji Musa's longtime personal assistant, adjusted her glasses as she sorted through dusty CSR files. The billionaire had called her late that night. "I need to trace a woman," he'd said. "Find her before pride destroys my son." Now, in the quiet hum of air conditioning, Ifema dug through old paper boxes labeled 2010, scholarship programs. Her fingers stopped on a folder marked Yusuf and Daughter Services. Attached was a photo of a smiling teenage girl, Amina Yusuf. Ifema frowned. The name matched one on an old list of Danlady Road project subcontractors. The founder, Ismaila Yusuf, had died during a site collapse years ago. She whispered, "Why, Allah, it's connected." When she briefed Alhaji Musa the next morning, he went silent for minutes. "Her father helped build my empire," he said slowly, "and now his daughter begs on the street." Ifema hesitated. "Should we tell Farouk?" Musa shook his head. "Not yet. Let him first see what compassion feels like." He turned toward his window overlooking the Abuja skyline, the same skyline Yusuf once dreamed of lighting with his engineering firm. "Prepare the car. I'm visiting Wuse quietly." That afternoon, the billionaire disguised himself in simple kaftan and cap, driving with Ifema in an unmarked SUV toward Gaki shelter. He didn't know it yet, but destiny was steering him back to the woman from the video. Clouds darkened over Jabi Lake Park, thick with pre-rain tension. Vendors hurried to cover goods. Among them, Amina balanced Kabir on her back, helping another homeless mother secure a leaking kiosk roof. Thunder cracked. Wind roared. The wooden frame collapsed, 2 small boys trapped underneath. Without thinking, Amina dashed forward, prying off planks as rain poured. Her palms bled. She screamed for help, but no one moved fast enough. She tore a broken signboard into leverage, wedged it beneath the beam, and pulled. One child crawled out, crying. She went for the second. Rain blinded her eyes. Kabir wailed on her back. Finally, she freed him and dragged both boys to shelter. People clapped. Phones came out. Someone shouted, "She saved them." A convoy slowed nearby, black SUV, tinted windows. Inside sat Alhaji Musa, returning from a meeting at Transcorp Hilton. He saw the commotion and stepped out. Rain soaked his kaftan instantly, but he moved forward. "Madam, are you hurt?" he asked. Amina shook her head, shivering. Kabir coughed softly. Musa took off his jacket and wrapped it around them. Their eyes met for a second, his tired but proud, his stunned with recognition he couldn't place. He handed her 50,000 Nigerian nairas quietly. "Please take care of the child." She hesitated. "Thank you, sir, but I didn't do it for money." He smiled faintly. "That's why you deserve it." When he returned to the car, Efima said softly, "That's her, isn't it?" Musa nodded slowly, staring through the rain-blurred windshield. "Yes, and I failed her father." Outside, another bystander filmed the scene. Within hours, the clip trended with a new caption: "Heroic homeless mother saves 2 kids at Jabi Lake." The same woman the world mocked yesterday was now hailed a hero. But neither she nor Farouk knew that fate was preparing their second encounter, one that would rewrite both their lives forever. Morning light spilled over Abuja's skyline, washing gold across glass towers. But inside the Danladi mansion in Asakoro, silence felt heavy. The breakfast table, usually full of laughter and clinking cutlery, sat untouched. Hoa scrolled through her phone, her face pale. "Musa," she whispered, sliding it across the table. The screen flashed. Woman mocked by Billionaire'S son saves 2 kids from flood. Public calls for justice. Ohaji Musa read in silence. The first half of the video showed Farouk laughing in Wiyu's market. The second showed the same woman, soaked, heroic, saving children from debris. Captions screamed across Twitter, "The one he mocked is a hero." Musa clenched his jaw. "Sibhanala," he turned to his wife. "I failed as a father somewhere." Upstairs, Farouk's phone buzzed endlessly. Mentions, insults, threats. "You mocked an angel. You're a disgrace to your father's legacy." He scrolled faster, denial turning to panic. He barged into the dining room. "Dad, I can fix this. I'll post an apology." "Apology?" Musa cut him sharply. "You think words erase humiliation? You laughed at dignity, Farouk. Now you must learn why hunger deserves respect." Farouk frowned. "So what? I should give her money." "No," Musa rose slowly. "You'll give her time. You'll serve the kind of people you mocked." He turned to Efima, who had been standing nearby. "Call the foundation. I want a new outreach project. This week, Farouk will lead it." Farouk protested. "I have business meetings." Musa's tone cut him short. "Then cancel them. This is your only meeting that matters." Later that day, as the city buzzed, Farouk watched the news replay the woman's courage again. Something twisted inside him. Confusion, guilt, perhaps the first shadow of empathy. He didn't know that destiny was about to place her in his path once more. This time not behind a camera, but face to face. The Gaki shelter for women and children stood behind a peeling gate near a dusty side road. Ohaji Musa's SUV pulled up quietly one afternoon. No convoy, no press. Only Efima sat beside him, tablet on her lap. Inside the shelter, the smell of disinfectant and baby powder mingled with soup cooking over charcoal. Women in worn clothes sat chatting softly, children crawling over old mats. A matron hurried forward. "Ohaji Danladi, you honor us, sir." Musa smiled humbly. "I came to listen, not to be honored." As he walked through the rooms, he saw faces that told stories without words. Fear, hope, survival. Then his eyes stopped on a corner, a woman sitting cross-legged, sewing a torn baby blanket by hand. It was her, Amina. Her scarf had faded further since the Jabi flood, but her posture was strong. Beside her, baby Kabir slept in a plastic cradle. Musa slowed. "As-salamu alaikum," he greeted softly. She looked up, surprised by his calm presence. "W alaikum salam, sir." He crouched slightly. "Are you the one who rescued those children at Jabi?" Her smile was shy. Anyone would have done the same. "Not everyone," he replied. Efima observed quietly from the doorway, noting the way the billionaire's expression changed, recognition flickering somewhere deep. Musa spoke again. "What's your name?" "Amina Yusuf." The name hit him like a forgotten promise. He forced composure. "Yusuf," he repeated. You're from which state? Kano, sir. But I grew up here in Abuja. My father once worked on a road project, Danladi Group. He froze. So it was true. He placed an envelope beside her blanket. Use this for the baby's needs. She shook her head. Sir, please. I didn't save those children for money. He smiled faintly. I know, but I give it for peace, not payment. Before she could respond, Ifema tapped her watch. Musa nodded and rose slowly. As he left, he looked back one last time at the woman rocking her child under a cracked ceiling, unaware of how their lives were tied together by a promise made years ago. Back in the car, Ifema broke the silence. That's her, Haji. Musa exhaled heavily, and she carries her father's eyes. What will you do? She asked. He looked out the window as the SUV rolled past traffic toward the city center. I will teach my son humanity, and I will redeem my debt to that family. Night fell over the central business district, with glittering lights reflecting off glass buildings. In her office on the 10th floor of Danladi Group HQ, Ifema Okafor scrolled through old digital archives. She'd spent the last 24 hours searching for the missing pieces of Amina Yusuf's history. Her screen flickered, revealing a dusty scanned document. CSR Scholarship 2015. Recipient: Amina Ismaila Yusuf, University of Abuja, engineering major. Attached photo, a young woman beaming proudly beside none other than Alhaji Musa himself. Ifema gasped softly. It's the same face, she murmured. Why, Allah, the same eyes. She printed the file and hurried into Musa's office. He was reading Kyorn quietly. She placed the papers before him. He read every line, lips tightening with guilt. Her father, Ismaila Yusuf, my old subcontractor. He died when a Danladi site wall collapsed. We promised to sponsor his daughter till she graduated. Ifema nodded. The scholarship ended after his death. Nobody followed up. Musa rubbed his forehead. Because I let bureaucracy bury mercy. He looked up sharply. Does she know any of this? No, sir. She only mentioned her father once. Keep it that way for now, Musa said. If I tell her too early, pride might turn her away. She must see character, not charity. He walked to the window overlooking Abuja's night skyline, the city glowing with power, wealth, and inequality. Tomorrow, Farouk begins a foundation outreach. Make sure she's there. Ifema tilted her head. There! Yes, let him meet her again. But not as a woman he mocked. Let him meet her as his mirror. Monday morning in Gaki, the air already baked with heat. A banner flapped across the half-finished building. Danladi Foundation, Mother and Child Center Project. Farouk stood at the gate, sunglasses on, face tight with annoyance. He'd been dragged here at 7 a.m., his father's words still echoing, "You will serve the kind of people you mocked." Around him, volunteers unloaded cement, mothers lined up for food registration, babies wailed. Sweat ruined his perfume within minutes. Ifema approached with a clipboard. Good morning, Mr. Danladi. You will coordinate today's feeding and logistics. Start by distributing rice portions. Farouk blinked. Me? Distribute? Yes, you're the team lead. She smiled dryly. Leaders serve first. He sighed, tossing his car key to a guard. Fine. Under a makeshift canopy, women shuffled forward for their meals. The air smelled of stew and dust. Then, in the line, he saw her, the woman from Wuse, the woman from the flood, Amina Yusuf. She wore a plain gown, cabbia tied to her back, eyes calm but unreadable. For a moment, Farouk froze. His stomach clenched. Humiliation, regret, and disbelief collided. When her turn came, she looked at him squarely. You again. His voice cracked. Madam, I. You laughed while I fed my child from a trash bin, she said softly. Now you hand out food you didn't cook. Her words sliced deeper than anger. People nearby toned. Whisper spread. N.A. that boy from the video. Farouk's chest burned. I was wrong, he muttered, eyes lowered. Amina handed him her plate. Then serve right. He filled it in silence, avoiding her gaze. Later, When she'd gone, he stood under the harsh Abuja sun until sweat blurred his sight. For the first time in his life, he felt small and strangely alive. By noon, the market road outside the site pulsed with noise, vendors hawking, generators humming, children chasing each other through red dust. Farouk stepped out for air, still shaken. He heard a woman behind him say, "That's the Danladi boy, the one we mocked at mother." He turned. Amina was there again, rocking cabbie. She wasn't angry now, just tired. "Why are you here?" he asked quietly. She smiled faintly. "Because life doesn't wait for apologies. I need the stipend. It feeds my son." He hesitated. "I was raised to think money fixes everything." "It doesn't," she replied. "Kindness does." The simplicity of it broke him. He wanted to say more, but a commotion cut through the crowd. Two workers arguing over missing cement. Voices rose. A push, a slap. Farouk rushed in, trying to calm them. "Stop it," he barked. "This project is for women and children, not your ego." They froze. One man muttered, "And a Disogade shout?" "The one-way day video." Whispers again. Phones came out. Farouk lifted his hands. "Yes, I'm the one. I made a mistake, and I'm here to learn. Record that too." Silence swept the crowd. Amina stared at him, shocked by his honesty. Later, as clouds gathered for afternoon rain, Farouk found her sitting near the canteen. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" "For not embarrassing me when you could have." Amina shrugged. God already did what needed doing. He smiled sadly. "You remind me of my father." That evening, he returned home mud-streaked and exhausted. His father looked up from prayer rug. "You met her again," Musa said calmly. Farouk nodded. "She said kindness fixes what money can't." Musa's lips curved faintly. "Then perhaps you're finally ready to listen." Outside, thunder rolled over Abuja's skyline, the same city that had mocked and now watched redemption take its first breath. The evening call to prayer echoed softly through Asakoro as Haji Musa knelt on his mat, whispering gratitude. He had watched Farouk return from Gaki each day, dust-stained, quieter, less vain. The change had begun, but humility needed deeper roots. When he finished praying, he called Ifema. She appeared with a folder. "Yes, sir?" "Extend the outreach. Turn it into a full-time rehabilitation project. I want Farouk to lead it, not as supervisor, but as worker." "Worker," she repeated, almost smiling. "Yes, he will mix cement, carry wood, listen to people's stories. Let him understand sweat." The next morning, Farouk arrived to find his name scratched onto the labor schedule beside ordinary masons. His friends' calls rang unanswered. For once, he didn't want to explain himself to anyone. Under the sun, he carried bags of cement, his designer sneakers caked with mud. The women laughed kindly. "Oga fine boy, no be everyday rich man day sweat." He grinned weakly. First time for everything. Amina passed with Kabir tied on her back, balancing a tray of bottled water. "Hey," she said, handing him one. "Thanks. You're learning fast." He smiled, trying to earn a new reputation. By evening, when he looked at the center rising from the ground, walls smooth, roof almost done, he felt a strange pride that had nothing to do with wealth. That night, Haji Musa watched from his car parked across the road, unseen. He turned to Ifema. "Let him finish this test. When it's done, we'll open the truth." One humid morning, Ifema gathered the workers under a tent. "We need someone to handle interior coordination and sanitation," she announced. "Amina Yusuf will assist Mr. Danladi directly." Farouk blinked. "Directly?" Amina folded her arms. "I work better alone." "So do I," he replied. "Perfect," she said dryly. "Let's suffer together." They began sorting supplies, budgeting donations, drafting lists. At first, silence stretched between them. She focused on ledgers. He carried paint buckets. But slowly, the awkward quiet softened into conversation. During lunch, Farouk watched her teach another woman basic accounting. "You were in university?" he asked. "Yes." Engineering. I was close to graduating before life happened. Someone must have failed you, he said. She smiled sadly. Many did. But failure isn't final. Poverty taught me that. Her calm strength humbled him. She never complained, never cursed her fate. Even Kabir's cries she met with lullabies instead of frustration. That evening, a child tripped near wet cement. Farouk leapt forward, catching him before he fell. Amina smiled faintly. Maybe there's a human in there after all. He laughed, wiping sweat. Maybe. By nightfall, they sat under the half-built veranda watching orange clouds fade. For the first time, silence between them felt peaceful. The midday heat in Area 10 field could melt asphalt. Workers argued constantly. Tempers flared. Farouk handled it better now, until one contractor sneered at Amina. Madam, NAUE Sabai book still day clean toilet? Waste a certificate. Farouk's shovel dropped. Apologize. The man laughed. NA joke I day joke. Farouk stepped closer, voice low but steady. You mock what you don't understand. She's doing honest work. Can you say the same? Silence. The man backed off. Everyone stayed. No one had ever seen the billionaire's son defend a homeless woman. Amina blinked, surprised. Later she found him behind the canteen, washing cement from his hands. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. Why? He looked up. Because people laugh when I hurt you, and I let them. I won't stand by again. For a long second, their eyes locked, heat and something new flickering quietly between guilt and respect. The next morning, whispers spread that the Danladi boy had changed. Some even called him Brother Farouk. He ignored the nickname but smiled privately. Maybe change was possible after all. Back at headquarters, Ifema sat surrounded by stacks of dusty files. She had been searching for weeks for one last document, the missing CSR trust record that could legally restore Amina's entitlement. At last, she found it. Ismaila Yusuf Memorial Trust, dormant status. Inside were account details, signatures, and a photo of Amina's father shaking hands with Haji Musa during a groundbreaking ceremony years earlier. She hurried to his office. He adjusted his glasses, studying the papers silently. The corners of his eyes glistened. I promised her father education, protection. Instead, his daughter begged in the streets. What now? Ifema asked. We reveal the truth, but only when she's strong enough to accept it. That evening, Musa called Farouk. You're doing well, son. Farouk smiled faintly. She's a strong one, not me. Musa chuckled softly. Then maybe you're finally seeing people clearly. He handed his son a sealed envelope. Give this to Ifema tomorrow. It concerns a project audit. Farouk didn't know that inside the envelope lay Amina Yusuf's full history, the key to a revelation that would shatter his pride once more. A week later, banners fluttered at Danladi Group's CSR review in the Central Business District. Cameras, board members, and journalists filled the hall. Farouk stood at the podium rehearsing figures, unaware of the storm about to break. Haji Musa walked in with Ifema and, to everyone's surprise, Amina Yusuf carrying baby Kabir. Whispers rippled. That's a woman from the videos. Musa motioned for quiet. Before we celebrate progress, I must confess a debt. He gestured toward Amina. Years ago, her father, engineer Ismaila Yusuf, died building one of our first highways. I promised to care for his daughter's education. Bureaucracy failed, and I never checked again. Today, that negligence stands before us, not as a beggar, but as proof of grace. Farouk's throat tightened. Musa turned to him. The woman you mocked is the daughter of the man who helped me build my empire. Gasps! Cameras flashed. Farouk felt the floor tilt under his feet. Baba, I didn't know. Exactly, Musa said, voice trembling. We never know who we mock when we laugh at pain. He handed Amina a document embossed with the company seal. This restores your father's trust fund and names you beneficiary of his shares in the company. It's yours, Amina. Tears filled her eyes. Sir, I don't deserve this. You deserve more, Musa said. But let's start with justice. The hall erupted in applause. Reporters filmed every second. The billionaire's son bowing his head while the woman he once humiliated stood beside his father, clothed not in wealth but dignity. Farouk looked at her through tears. "I'm sorry for everything." Amina nodded softly. "Apology accepted. Now use your privilege to fix what others break." In that moment, he realized humility wasn't weakness, it was power reborn. The applause inside the Danlady auditorium faded into echoes. Amina clutched a thick folder that carried her father's resurrected name and sank slowly into a chair. Cameras still flashed. Journalists shouted for interviews, but their voices sounded distant, muffled by the rush of memories flooding back. Her hands shook. She saw again the day her father died, crushed beams, men screaming, and a boyish Alhaji Musa promising, "Your daughter will never suffer." For years she had carried that promise in silence while eating crumbs behind refuse bins. Now, suddenly, the weight of injustice, humiliation, hunger, and loss crashed through her chest like thunder. Farouk tried to approach her, but she covered her face. "Please," she whispered, "don't look at me. Not now." Musa touched her shoulder gently. "Amina, you are not the beggar the world saw. You are the child of a good man." Tears broke loose, unstoppable. "I don't want wealth, sir. I only wanted peace, one day without shame." The hall fell quiet. Even the reporters lowered their cameras. "You have peace now," Musa said softly, "and purpose waiting to be chosen." She raised her eyes to him. "What if I fail again?" He smiled sadly. "Then you'll stand again. That's all life asks." Outside, rain began to fall, Abuja's evening drizzle washing the glass walls of the headquarters. Farouk stood at the window, guilt burning through him as he watched the city blow. He realized that while he had lived in marble, she had survived in mud, and yet she still carried more grace than he ever did. That night, the video of the reveal went viral worldwide. Billionaire's son humbled his father on his homeless hero. But for Amina, the fame meant nothing. She sat in her small shelter room, rocking Kabir, whispering through tears, "Your grandfather's name lives again, my son. Maybe tomorrow will be gentle." 3 weeks later, the new mother and child center Gaki opened officially. Colorful balloons framed the gate, but the true celebration was inside. Clean beds, stocked medicine, laughter echoing through freshly painted halls. Farouk walked the corridors in plain white kaftan, greeting women, carrying boxes of diapers. Gone was the swagger, in its place a quiet rhythm of service. Amina, now acting consultant for the center, watched him coordinate volunteers without shouting. "You've changed," she said one afternoon as they arranged supplies. He looked up. "I had a good teacher." She chuckled. "I never taught you anything." "You did," he replied. "You taught me what dignity looks like when the world forgets you." She looked away, embarrassed, hiding a smile. 4 days now, people in the shelter called her Madam Hope and Brother Farouk. Rumors fluttered, but neither cared. That evening, a small ceremony gathered under the veranda. The mothers sang a house of lullaby. Children clapped tin plates. Musa arrived quietly and watched his son serve food to women seated on mats. His eyes misted. After prayers, Musa spoke. "The Danlady Foundation will now sponsor skills training for every woman here. Amina Yusuf will head the program." Applause thundered. Amina froze. "Sir, I'm not qualified." "You're more than qualified," Musa interrupted. "You lived it." She accepted, tears glinting. Farouk leaned closer. "Congratulations, Madam Director." She smiled. "Don't mock me." "I wouldn't dare," he said softly. "Not anymore." Later that night, he walked her home in the dim light of gawky street lamps. Children chased tires nearby, music drifted from kiosks. "I used to think success meant cars and champagne," he said. "Now I know it means sleeping with a clear conscience." Amina looked at him, her expression unreadable. "Maybe both worlds can meet halfway." He nodded. "Maybe." Months passed. Abuja's dry season returned, painting the skies bronze. The Skills at Sunset program launched at the center under Amina's direction. Each evening, women learned tailoring, catering, and phone repair while children played in a courtyard strung with fairy lights. Farouk handled logistics, printing flyers, sourcing microgrants from his father's contacts, but he never once claimed credit. "Let her shine," he always told reporters. One night he found Amina asleep at her desk, Kabir curled beside her. He draped a shawl over them and paused. The woman he once mocked now inspired an entire district. Her courage had rebuilt his soul. Meanwhile, Alhaji Musa's health wavered slightly. He often visited, sitting among mothers, listening more than speaking. "I'm proud of you both," he told them one evening. "What we build here must outlive us." Farouk asked quietly, "Baba, do you ever regret being rich?" Musa smiled. "Only when I forget why Allah gave it to me." The next week, they inaugurated 3 satellite shelters, Kubwa, Nyanya, and Lub, all under Amina's supervision. Her leadership made headlines. From street to strategy, the woman who transformed Danladi Foundation. At a small press briefing, she spoke firmly. "This isn't charity, it's partnership. Poverty doesn't ask for pity, it asks for opportunity." The audience stood, applauding. Farouk watched her glow beneath camera flashes, pride swelling in his chest, a pride born not of ownership, but admiration. Later, on the drive home, Amina sat quietly beside him in the SUV donated to the foundation. "You're quiet," she said. "I'm thinking," he replied, "about how fate can turn enemies into purpose." She smiled gently. "Then maybe fate isn't cruel after all." They passed Jarby Lake, calm under moonlight, the same place where rain once nearly drowned her. Tonight, it reflected peace. The Harmattan breeze swept softly through Gudu district, rattling curtains in Amina's small new apartment. The walls were modestly painted cream, the floor tiled in cool gray, and for the first time in years she slept on a real bed instead of a mat. Sunlight leaked through the window and spilled across Kabir, now walking, giggling as he chased a rubber ball. Amina knelt to steady him, her laughter echoing through the quiet room. She had nothing extravagant, just safety, dignity, and a key she owned. A knock sounded. She opened the door to find Farouk Danladi, holding a carton of groceries and an embarrassed smile. "Delivery from a volunteer," he said. "You could have just called," she teased. "I like earning my visits." Inside, he placed a box on her counter, rice, beans, powdered milk, and a new set of baby shoes. He noticed a certificate framed above her table. Director of Community Impact, Danladi Foundation. "You framed it," he said. "It reminds me that promises kept can heal history." They shared tea on her small veranda overlooking the bustling streets of Apo Mechanic Village. From there they could see the afternoon traffic snaking toward Area 1. "I went back to Wiyu's market yesterday," he said, "to that spot where I filmed you." Her brows lifted slightly. "I gave every woman their free stalls for 3 months," he added. Didn't announce it, just left instructions. Amina's eyes softened. "You're learning to do good quietly." He smiled faintly. "My father says charity shouted his business." Kabir toddled toward Farouk, stretching chubby hands. Farouk lifted him and the little boy laughed. "Uncle Rook," he squealed, mispronouncing Farouk's name. The sound broke something tender inside the young man. He'd grown up with toys that cost millions, but no moment had ever felt this pure. That evening, as he drove home past the glowing skyline of Central Business District, Farouk realized he no longer measured life by speed or status. He measured it by how many people breathed easier because he existed. At the Danladi mansion, Alhaji Musa waited on the balcony, a shawl draped around his shoulders. "You look lighter," he said as Farouk climbed the stairs. "I am," Farouk replied. "Baba, thank you for not giving up on me." Musa smiled. "You found what money couldn't buy, meaning." Inside, the muezzin call floated from Area 11 Mosque. Father and son prayed side by side, gratitude rising like incense. 6 months later, Abuja glittered under floodlights for the Danladi Foundation Gala Night, held at a glass-walled conference center off Asso Drive. The theme, Compassion is Infrastructure. Cars lined the driveway, diplomats, ministers, CEOs, but the loudest cheers at night were not for power, they were for transformation. Inside, golden drapes shimmered, a soft band played live highlife, and banners showed before and after photos of the Gaki Center. On a large screen, A montage rolled. Amina rescuing children in the Jabi flood. Farouk serving food. Musa shaking hand with workers. When Ohaji Musa took the stage, the whole hushed. Age showed in his gait, but his voice carried strength. Tonight, he began, we celebrate a lesson, not wealth. A year ago my son shamed our name by laughing at suffering. Today he stands redeemed beside the very woman he mocked, because truth is a way of returning home. Spotlight swung to Amina and Farouk sitting at the front. The audience rose, clapping. Musa continued. In honor of engineer Ismaili Yusuf's legacy, I name Amina Yusuf the Director of Community Impact for the entire foundation. Her leadership will guide every Danlady project across Nigeria. Cameras flashed. Amina stepped forward, simple gown flowing, microphone trembling slightly in her hand. Thank you, she began. But this isn't my victory. It belongs to every mother who refused to give up, to every man who learned humility, and to a city that still believes in second chances. Applause thundered. Farouk joined her on stage, eyes bright. She rebuilt more than shelters, he said quietly into his MIC. She rebuilt me. The crowd fell silent, moved. Even hardened executives wiped tears. Then, in an unscripted gesture, he turned to Amina and bowed, not in romance, but in reverence. She placed her hand on his shoulder and whispered, Stand tall. Redemption suits you. At the back of the hall, Kabir clapped from Hoa's lap, shouting, Mummy win. Laughter and cheers filled the room. Musa watched them all with wet eyes. Now, he whispered to Hoa, this is the empire I wanted, an empire of mercy. Later that night, as guests drifted toward their cars under the glow of the National Mosque, Amina stepped out onto the terrace. The city lights mirrored on the river. The same Abuja that once shamed her now applauded her name. Farouk joined her, hands in his pockets. You'll have your own office tomorrow, he said. She smiled. I already have what I wanted, a life with meaning. He looked out over the skyline. Funny, isn't it? The man who mocked a homeless mother ended up building homes for hundreds. And the woman who searched trash, she replied, found treasure in faith. They both laughed quietly, watching fireworks burst above Aso Rock. The sky shimmered red and gold, colors of forgiveness. Down below, banners fluttered in the night wind bearing the foundation's new slogan, Dignity for All. A camera zoomed in for the final shot, Amina holding Kabir, Farouk standing beside her, Ohaji Musa smiling in the background as the crowd chanted her name. Fade out. From disgrace to destiny, Abuja never forgets a story this powerful.